Hi everyone, it's Alexa Linton here, and you're here for the Wednesday sessions. It's Wednesday, May the 6th today, and yeah, we're in this really interesting space in BC. All my beautiful people here live on the call are from British Columbia today, where things are starting to move towards reopening and there's a shift happening right now, and I think many of us, those of us here on the call, there's this sense of, okay, what does that look like to you know um, go back into things, but maybe not back to normal, so to speak, because I don't know if normal was necessarily great. And so how do we want to move forward in this? So that was one thing that was coming up. Also, some uh, potential work here on the digestive system. So if any of you are out there having some digestive stuff, um, yeah, we'll do potentially some focusing in on that. We'll see where we want to go. So today we're doing an energy medicine session, and this is mainly using the body talk system and adding in other pieces. So adding in my training in various things over the years, including osteopathy, flower essences, work with animals, and uh, if you haven't had a session with me before, if this is very new to you, I will try along the way to really map out logistics and what you might be feeling and experiencing as we go along, and some self-care suggestions as well. So with this work, we'll be doing probably a little bit of a shorter session today. I'm not feeling my best today. And so we'll see what the session holds. I'm always excited to come here, though, and do this work. As I've shared in the past, it feels just as much for me as for everyone else. And I'm including the whole group, not only the people live, but everybody that's requested to be a part of it through, through the newsletter. So if you've gotten information on this, or you're getting the replay, you're being included in the goodness of this session. And what some of the things you may feel as we go along are changes in temperature, tingling, maybe your breathing or your state changes, so you may feel more relaxed or at times more activated. You may also feel nothing. So I always share that that's totally normal. All of those things are normal and natural in response to a session. And yeah, as we go along, I'll be sharing what comes up within the body talk work that I do, and some may resonate with you, and some may not. And if it doesn't resonate with you, it's don't worry. It's sort of like one of those things where what you need you'll get, and what you don't will just sort of wash by you. So just trusting that there will be some things that resonate for you, hopefully, and that creates some shifting for you. Good. Yay. So I really love to start our work together each week with some breathing practice, because I think it's so important. We don't always take the time to check in with our breath. And I invite you, sharing this time, not sure how long today, to just turn off any distractions and let this be your time. Really dedicate this time to you and your well-being. Good. Okay. So, inviting you here to find a comfy space to spend the session where you can relax and unwind. One of the other things you may notice through the session is you may yawn. I'm a yawner, so I'll try to remember to cover my mouth. Yeah, we'll see. Okay. So, settling into this comfy space and starting to connect to the breath, to this rhythm, this natural rhythm in our body. And take a moment here to observe the breath, the in breath and the out breath, noticing if one is easier or harder, if one is longer or shorter. If one just flows more easily, the in breath or the out breath. Just taking little inner notes on that. And bringing the awareness now to the in breath, this activating, invigorating in breath. And notice how it has the quality of enlivening the system. So turning things on, waking things up. This breath is connected with the sympathetic nervous system, our flight, fight, and arousal activation nervous system. We often think of this as a not so helpful nervous system, but it's absolutely necessary in creating life in our body. And on those in breaths, we have this beautiful biomechanical miracle that happens with every in breath where our ribs externally rotate and they press on the sympathetic ganglions near the spine. And they just give them a little bit of a hey, and we get that activated feeling on the in breath. Noticing as well that the in breath causes a straightening, a lengthening of the spine. Good. And then we bring our awareness to the out breath, the unwinding, unraveling out breath, the restorative out breath. The yin to the yang of the in breath here. Notice how that out breath melts away tension and holding. Notice how on the out breath the spinal curves relax. We notice the quality here of letting go. This out breath is a great ally in letting go. Bringing awareness now to the full cycle of the breath. That activating in breath and unwinding out breath. Notice how they work together. We couldn't have one without the other. Let that in breath awaken, enliven every cell in your being. sense of even going into those corners of the attic, the tips of the fingers and ends of the toes, and lighting things up. What's there? What's there? Noticing areas that may be harder to bring the breath um, to really find in ourselves, maybe some blind spots, so to speak. And just, can I bring this wave of breath to the shores of these spaces that are a little trickier, a little bit closed down? Letting that out breath then unwind, unravel, melt away, brace attention in those areas. Like a wave coming up upon a sandcastle on the beach. Just each wave a little bit more sand coming back into the ocean. The sense of impermanence. Beautiful. Good. Keeping that breath going as much as possible through our time together. Allowing this time to be awareness building of where the breath leaves or shortens. And seeing if each time you may bring some gentleness and some shift, some practice of bringing the breath back to this space of reaching every corner of the body, bringing full awareness of our felt sense within the body, our somatic sense of ourselves. Okay, we're going into the session now. There's an archetype coming up here. And it's along the lines, it's really interesting. So it's along the lines of the visionary is how it comes up, the visionary. And this, I think, is this sense of speaking to this wisdom within each of us of where we want to go, what we want to create, and how we want to roll out from here, essentially. Yeah, we're in this very interesting middle space right now of being very aware that the way that we may have done things previously, as an individual, as a family, as a community, and as a nation and a globe even, have been potentially needing a little bit of attention and perhaps some changes. Yeah. And I think that many of us are in this place of, okay, what does that look like as we move from here to something different, hopefully, rather than just sliding back into where we've been. And so, what's really coming up here? I don't know if this is the fact that I started reading Untamed, and it's probably like impacting where I'm going, but it's a sense of really, do I listen to my inner voice? Like, is that a thing that I do? And how often and when and in what scenarios do I give that inner voice some play, some space? Um, and maybe there's other scenarios where it doesn't come into um, it doesn't come into our decision making or how we move forward, and why not. I think as humans we're always in this very interesting interplay between doing something because we think others think we should do it that way and doing something because it feels right in ourselves. um, yeah. And I always find it a really fascinating exploration as to what is that inner voice and how do we know when we're listening to it. And I think it's so different for each one of us. Mine is like very, because I'm so kinesthetic, it comes as a knowing. It just comes as a knowing. This is the right time. This is the next step. This is where I need to put my attention or awareness. And each one of us, that's going to be different. I think it's a very worthwhile line of questioning as to what is that for me? How does it show up for me? Welcome, Brittany. I just saw you were here. Good. And I think the inner voice is a really interesting question as well, or line of pondering, because it often will push us to go away from sort of what is the what we're being pushed towards. This is what you should do, or this is what you should do. So it's a very interesting journey to look at, okay, what's my pull in each place, and where can I give this voice more space and room to express. And I think this is all coming up because, we're moving into uncharted territory right now. And, we're going to need that wisdom within more and more as we move forward, especially to help our communities and be of assistance, more and more in our worlds. Okay, so I just want to type all that in, a little inner voice work, inner wisdom work. If you want to tap, you're welcome. Just tapping on the head and then over the heart. And that's it. Totally okay, Cynthia. Cynthia headed off early here. Okay. It's always an interesting exploration too, to ask your body where that inner voice lives in you. Is it throughout your being? Is there a space that's like, oh, it's here? Just touching, and I often get it like deep in my belly, like womb space, like line of center of gravity space for me. It's a little different for everyone, I'm sure. Good. Okay. So this next piece, it's really interesting what it's like. It's a permission. I allow myself to bloom at my own pace. I'm sort of seeing, I'm getting flower metaphors right now. I've been in the garden a lot. But it is this sense of, what do they say about flowers? Like, you can't force a flower to bloom. It's like it's got to bloom in its own time. And I get that sense here with what we're moving into, with things reopening and yeah, this. Okay, we each have our own pace to this, and that's going to feel good for us and safe and comfortable and yeah, right for us. And it comes back to that inner voice piece as well. So I allow myself to bloom in my own time. Yeah, and like you said, Laura, it might be like, okay, I'm just going to hold off on that email for a couple of days. I'm just going to let it be the time that's right, Yeah. Okay. I'm going to do a little emotional release of guilt around all of that, because there's that part of us like, I've just like kind of, you know, been lazy or whatever it is, whatever the messages are. It's like, okay, no, that we each have our own timing, our own perfect timing for this. And so this emotional release of guilt that might be like pushing us into getting back at things. Yeah. And I'm going to do that from, oh, not surprising, the digestive system. There we go. I was wondering when it was going to come up. Perfect. Okay. Good. And so it's this sense of, can we find the right timing, the right pace for us? Because before we may have found that it was a little fast for for our liking, but it was like, that's just the way the world is. That's what we do, And so now, can I maintain like that, or find the flow that works for me? Or find at least the flow that works better for me. It might not be that perfect flow, because life is life and it moves as it moves. But can I find that flow that's more healthy for me, that promotes my well-being more, that creates more connection, whatever that is, that's priority here. And I think this time away from things has been so helpful to really light up what's important. So when we start to move back into this opening, okay, what do I want to maintain, or really work to connect to or hold on to here? All right, so we're just going to tap around that. Tapping on the head of the heart. Yeah, good. Allow myself to go at a pace that works for me. Release guilt. Release guilt. Perfect. So we're going to do a more mini session today. So that's all that we're going to do for today. I know it's only half an hour, everybody who's listening to the replay. And but I hope there was some gems in there for you. And next week it'll be its full time when I am feeling a little more myself. So yeah, appreciate your understanding on that. Yeah. And for those that are listening into the replay, please take good care of yourself. It may feel like not much has happened, but there's a lot shifting and changing under the surface. And so whatever that looks like for you, it might be going and drinking a nice glass of water, having some time in nature today, or in the sunshine, or having a nap, whatever that looks like for you. So I hope to see you again in the future here next week. We'll be here at 9:30, and I'll keep you appraised of any changes of that. But we look forward to seeing you then. Okay.